Good morning. I've got a data video for the week beginning the 1st of July 2024. We've got quite a volatile week ahead of us because we've got the French elections tomorrow, we've got the UK elections on Thursday. So that's something to bear in mind. And now, thinking about it, it makes sense that the Euro FX would have been sold off, and it has. You can see the non-coms, the net non-coms have shorted the Euro, which makes complete sense that they would because if the French elections doesn't go to plan or it goes to plan, and we could see a lot of volatility in the euro currency because there could be a threat to the abandonment of the euro in France, and they are basically at the core, geographically speaking, of the eurozone. So it could be humongously negative for the euro. So this makes sense. So we'd have to be a little bit careful because the herd has shorted the euro late last week, and by selling the euro, it did push price higher on Friday. So we have to try and remember this is like long-term perspective, medium to long term, and the retail sentiment is very near term. So if you're intraday trading, the retail sentiment is definitely the way to go. So that's bear in mind. And look at the dollar. It's actually, remember, it was creeping and like ready to pounce, and now it's pounced. You can see that it's almost like a snake. It's made that move, and we've basically jolted up quite a bit, but the euro has been very aggressively sold. Let's look at yen, and this would be interesting. This is the first time I've seen this, by the way. There's the low. We could be breaking that low, to be fair, and it will just mean that cross yen will continue higher. So look at dollar yen, for example, the euro yen. Well, the euro yen might not, to be fair, because that's been sold off quite heavily. So we'll keep the yen on there as per. And if any currency is ticking higher, then you could theoretically look for longs and cross yen. But I think we're probably going to have some BOJ intervention. So you want to be very careful. And if they do come on board, then you're going to regret trading cross yen. So you've got to be really careful. They might not intervene this week, but they can. They may. So we have to be careful. Euro off, and then we'll put on Aussie. Aussie's really surged. Okay, 64. Well, yeah, you can see it's like minus 20. It's in between 0 and 50%, 50,000. Minus 64. So it's had a big. Oh, there you go, minus 23. Okay, so huge surge there. We are negative though, but it looks like we're going to possibly go positive on the Aussie. Very interesting. Pound should be negative. Yeah, slightly negative. 52. Don't forget we've got some resistance up here. Like I said a few weeks ago, we're going to struggle to overcome these. Okay, so I see strong resistance. Now, obviously, we hit that resistance. It looks like we have. We sell the pound against the USD. That's going to be a cable short. All right, so that's something to be aware of for next week, going forward if we get the crossover. So that makes sense. And then pending the UK elections, it could be quite negative. I think if the Conservatives win, which is unbelievably unlikely, it might be good for the pound because it's more of the same. If a Labour victory comes in, it's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and it'll probably be pound negative. But the Conservatives aren't likely going to win at all. In fact, it's going to be like a landslide victory for Labour, apparently. But we'll have to see. The polls aren't always right, as we saw in the Trump versus Clinton. Trump wasn't going to win at all. He was very, very unlikely, and then look what happened. CAD, really, really fell, didn't it? Cool. Well, yeah, we're decidedly negative, but we're just slightly less negative than what we prior. Very, very heavy selling there. So that's of note. We've got a deviation between CAD and yen, so you could go long CAD yen, but like I said about the BOJ, you've got to be careful. CAD off, gold on. We'll keep going higher. This is obviously going to be some resistance, and then we're going to break all-time high. So strong already because we're above zero, and we've added added longs. So it's actually added to the strong bias. They're very long, 246,000 contracts. So be careful there, especially if you're short. Like I said about the retail sentiment, that does come into play a lot. And it looked like we were going to flip to 50%. And of course, they shorted it very heavily, as covered in the daily bulletins. If you saw that on Thursday, and we did, we really pumped. We had a 1% move on that, on our setup using the FXCM client, and we're really pumped. Right, so if the herd sell and we've got a strong COT, it does tend to favour more upside for gold. Okay, and gold off, and then I think we can look at New Zealand dollar, and we've really gone higher, very strong. Okay, so that's off note, 26,000 contracts. So we've definitely broken out of that range. We were sideways for ages. So it could, well, from a COT perspective, it is indicating New Zealand dollar longs. So, you know, that would be a risk on indication. And you could probably argue we are definitely risk on anyway. Look at the big picture on the spreadsheet. You know, we're definitely pointing to more upside and risk. So that's off note, okay. And then New Zealand dollar off, and then Swiss franc on, and Swiss franc. We did break out that range. We fell, and it looks like we might try and regain back into that consolidation. 45 minus. Oh, it doesn't allow me to see it. Oh, minus 37. So negative, but less negative than the week prior. Remember to try and combine the COT data with the sheet. And at some point tomorrow, we're going to be looking at how to use the QDB sheet and how to profit. And I'm going to show you some setups. And I can show you a setup on gold that I'm looking at, because I looked at the weekly chart on gold, and there is potentially a setup that we can do. So we'll have a look at that tomorrow. So stay tuned, and it will be a locked post. So be sure to at least subscribe to the light tier on Patreon, and that's $5 a month. And then you get to support me, and you get to see some trade ideas as well, and also you get to see the videos, and you get spreadsheet access and the MT4 robot access for $5 a month. So that's what I'll do. So look out tomorrow for a trade idea video, and I wish you a good day, and I'll speak to you soon.